back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for
keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
And welcome everybody to another edition of the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, and it's great to have you guys here on this Wednesday, November 27th. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. Before I get into that, just want to remind you guys, as always, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized. Make sure to go to the Super Chat button in the chat and click on that if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment you may have throughout the live broadcast. It makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate your guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCpodcast.net. That is GSMCpodcast.net. So let's get into what we are going to talk about today. So we're going to start off the show. We are going to preview the 3 Thanksgiving games for tomorrow. You have the Bears and the Lions to start us off. Then in the middle of it, you got the Giants and the Cowboys. And to finish off the day, you got the Dolphins and the Packers, which I think is probably the best game of the 3. So we'll get into that. We'll also talk about Aaron Rodgers and his most recent appearance on the Pat McAfee show and what he had to say about some of the reports that have been coming out involving him and on whether he wants to play next year or not. And we'll get into all that as well. And then it's just all previews the rest of the way. We'll preview the big matchup between the Eagles and the Ravens. We'll talk about the Bills-49ers game on Sunday Night Football in the fourth part of the show. And then in the final part of the show, we'll take a look at the remaining games around the league. We'll take a look at the college football matchups. Also, the updated college football bracket came out. Playoff bracket, so we'll take a look at that. We'll look at the previous week. We'll look at the matchups for this week. It is rivalry week, so we'll get into all that. And then, like I said, we'll take a look at the remaining games in the NFL, the Black Friday game between the Chiefs and the Raiders. We'll get into all that and much more. So let's get into the first topic, which is previewing the 3 Thanksgiving games for tomorrow. So not the best slate. It's kind of lacking, but I think at least 2 of the 3 are intriguing and could be good games. I do think that the Bears-Lions game, as we'll get into that first, has the potential to be a good game. It does. It definitely has the potential to be closer than we would think. It's a big spread. The Bears are 10-point underdogs in this game, 10.5-point underdogs. Lions are coming in a little banged up. Obviously, there's no Aiden Hutchinson. Alex Anzalone, one of their linebackers, who's been really good for them, he was placed on IR, I believe, with a forearm injury. So that's a big loss for them on defense. And you also have David Montgomery and Amon-Ra St. Brown, who are a little banged up, but they're practicing. Monday they weren't practicing, but now they've been limited. So it looks like they are on track to play. So, if you didn't have both of those guys, then you really lean towards taking the Bears with the points. But, either way, though, they are coming in a little banged up, the Lions. But they have been the best team in football. There's no question about it. And for the Bears, it's been a heartbreaking last couple of weeks, or really last month or so. The last 2 weeks against the Vikings and the Packers, 2 divisional opponents, you had a blocked field goal, potential game-winning field goal that ends up getting blocked. You end up pulling off a improbable comeback against the Vikings where you're down 10 under a minute. You score a touchdown, you get the 2-point conversion, and then you recover an onside kick, and you get into field goal range. You tie the game, you go to overtime, you end up losing that way. And then also, you had the Hail Mary that happened against the Commanders. So the Bears have suffered some heartbreaking losses this year. But I will say, these last couple of weeks, Caleb Williams has looked better. DJ Moore had a very good game against the Vikings. So, the Bears offense is heading in the right direction going into this game. Now, those last two games came at home. Now the Bears have to go on the road to Detroit, where, that place is going to be rocking tomorrow. The Lions actually have not won on Thanksgiving, I believe, since 2016. So it's been a long time. I think that streak will end, but I just think when it comes to the Bears and how they've been playing as of late, I feel like that line is too big. And it's a divisional opponent. It's a divisional game. The Bears played the Lions tough last year. They almost beat them twice. Now, obviously, that was with Justin Fields at quarterback. Now you got Caleb Williams. But Caleb Williams has been playing better. At times he does hold on to the ball a little too long. He's got to get rid of it at times instead of taking the sack. But like I said, you'll take it because, that few week stretch that led to Shane Waldron letting go, it was rough. That offense just really couldn't get anything going, but they have looked better. And, they got firepower on this offense where they could keep this game within the 10 points. But would it surprise me if the Lions blow them out? No, because the Lions have been really beaten up on teams. So, and this is a home game for them. They play really well at home. So it would not surprise me either way. But I just think that the Bears, they have a good enough team where they can at least keep it close. And the Lions are a little bit banged up. So that's what my way of thinking is there. So I'm going to say maybe the final score is 30-20, maybe something like that. And again, the Lions have not won on Thanksgiving since 2016, so maybe that streak continues and the Bears pull off an upset. So, but you just feel for the Bears because they have been playing better. It's just they have been on the wrong end of these losses here. So, but I got the Lions winning, but I got the Bears covering. Then we got the middle game, which I am not really looking forward to, but of course we'll be watching it because it's football. And yeah, and for fantasy purposes, spread pool purposes, the Giants and the Cowboys. Now, I don't know if Tommy DeVito is going to play in this game. It could be either him or Drew Lock. I don't think it really matters. Cooper Rush is actually a little banged up too for the Cowboys. So we'll see what happens there. The Cowboys are coming off of a win against the Commanders, a crazy game. Giants are coming off of that blowout loss against the Buccaneers. I think the Giants have kind of just mailed it in. And, the Cowboys look like they were playing for something against the Commanders on Sunday. And I just feel like whoever plays quarterback for the Giants is going to have a long day. That offensive line has not been good as of late. Tommy DeVito, the reason why he's banged up is because he really didn't get good protection. So whether it's him, whether it's Drew Lock, Micah Parsons is going to put his stamp on this game. And, that Cowboys pass rush, I think, is going to make whoever's playing quarterback for the Giants, it's going to be a problem. And on top of that, like I said, the Giants were non-competitive against the Buccaneers. It's a short week. And, I think Cooper Rush will play just good enough where, the Cowboys will get by and get the win and win their first home game of the season. They have not won at home this year. Both teams have not won at home this year. The Giants probably will not win another game. The Cowboys, you can get a win here, improve your record, and I think that they will do that here in this spot. And I think the Giants, they are 4-point underdogs, but I think it went down to 3. But I'm still going to take the Cowboys. I just think whoever plays quarterback for the Giants is going to struggle and turn the ball over and, give the Cowboys good field position. And, I like the Cowboys to win. I say they probably win, I don't know, 20-10 or something, 23-10. I don't know. Maybe the Cowboys really blow them out because that's what they've done to the Giants for many years. So that wouldn't surprise me either. But, yeah, I like the Cowboys in this spot to get a win on Thanksgiving. They usually do good on Thanksgiving. So I'll take them. And they cover the number. And then finally, the best game of the night, best game of the day, and that is the Packers and the Dolphins. Dolphins are coming in hot. Well, both teams are coming in hot. Packers coming in at 8-3. Dolphins coming in at 5-6. They have looked a lot better since Tua has come back. Dolphins are 3-point underdogs in this game. And the Packers, look, they beat up on the 49ers, but the 49ers were a beat-up team in that game. And Jordan Love still has not been great. He did not turn the ball over in the game against the Niners, but he should have. There was a dropped interception. And the Dolphins, Tua said it after the game against the Patriots, they're trying to change narratives because usually they're a team that struggles later in the season, and now they're going into a place where, the temperature is not going to be what they're accustomed to. And can they rise up to the challenge? Now, they do have the running game. The Packers struggle a little bit against the run. They do have the running game that could give the Packers a problem. And we saw what this defense can do at times. I mean, it stepped up against the Rams. They won a game that I didn't think they were going to win. They gave Matthew Stafford a hard time. So could they give Jordan Love a hard time and force him into a turnover? I think they definitely can. And they got a lot of firepower on offense, not just with the running backs, but with the receivers. Tyreek Hill is questionable for this game, but I'm sure he's going to play. He's dealing with that wrist injury. He's had a disappointing season, but that's in large part to Tua being out. But you got Jalen Waddle. Jonnu Smith has been playing well for them as of late. He's been making plays. So, this could be a close game. But I am going to lean towards the Packers. They are at home. And, look, we talk about the running game for the Dolphins. The running game for the Packers has been great, too, with Josh Jacobs. 3 rushing touchdowns, over 100 yards rushing against the 49ers. Packers are going to lean on him in this game with the temperatures being the way it is. So I expect him to play well. I expect both running backs to play well. But I do like the Packers in this spot being at home, and I think they win and they cover the number, and the Dolphins will have to wait for another chance to change the narrative. But even with the loss, though, I think the Dolphins, they still have somewhat of a chance to make the playoffs, but with the loss here, it's definitely going to make it more important this final stretch here to win out. Now, I did have them going 10-7, so if they lose this game, they're 5-7. They have to win their last 5 to get to that number and maybe make the playoffs. But, the teams in front of you, it's going to be tough. The Ravens, the Chargers, and the Broncos. It's going to be really tough. And had Tua not gotten hurt, they would be in a playoff spot right now. And even when he did come back, you had those 2 games against the Cardinals, against the Bills that you could have won, and things would have changed. But, maybe they do win this game. Maybe they pull off the upset. But I just like the Packers at home, and I think they get the win here. And then the following week, we'll get Lions-Packers on Thursday Night Football, which will be a must-see game. But, yeah, to kind of run through the Thanksgiving game, so I got the Lions winning with the Bears covering, the Cowboys winning and covering over the Giants, and then I have the Packers winning and covering against the Dolphins. I think that score will be, I'll say it's a touchdown game, 27-20. It's a one-possession game. Packers get the win. But, yeah, let me know what you guys think about these games. Who do you have winning them? Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our first break of the show. And then when we come back, we will talk about the former Packers quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and his comments that he made on the Pat McAfee show on his future. So we'll get into that when we return. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits, some losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip, you choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the second part of the show, we will get into talking about Aaron Rodgers and his most recent comments on the Pat McAfee show. But before we get into that, breaking news. So Daniel Jones has signed with the Minnesota Vikings. I was checking my group chat during the break, and everybody was saying skull in the chat, and I knew right away, okay, did Daniel Jones sign with... Because Daniel Jones has been the topic of conversation in this group chat, or one of the topics. And, yeah, he indeed signed with the Vikings. I think that is a great spot for him. You know, if Sam Darnold does end up going down, which he's gotten banged up this year, you know, if he ended up missing a game or something, you know, Jones could step in, and that is a great situation to be in with the supporting cast around him. And you got a great offensive mind in Kevin O'Connell. So I like that spot a lot for him. You know, that's a good place for Daniel Jones. So I'm happy for him that he's in a good spot. And, you know, the Vikings have a chance to do something this year, which I, you know, didn't expect them to finish with a good record because I didn't know what to expect at the quarterback position. You know, I constantly said how I liked the roster, but I just didn't know how it was all going to go. And Darnold has played really well this year, and he is one of the biggest reasons why they're in the spot that they're in right now. So, yeah, Daniel Jones signs with the Vikings, and he's with the contenders, so good for him. But now let's get to Aaron Rodgers, shall we? So he did make his weekly appearance on the Pat McAfee show to kind of discuss some things, talked about his future. And, you know, there was a lot of articles and stuff that came out about, you know, that he wants to keep playing, but just not for the Jets, and just all these different things. And he basically came out and said that a lot of it was false, which that it's not the first time that that's happened, where you have these articles that come out on him and then he goes on the McAfee show and he says that they're not true. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say one way or the other. I definitely think there's some kind of middle ground here where maybe not everything is true, but maybe not everything is false. Because Rodgers talks about his inner circle and says that he only tells his small inner circle things. But then you have people that will say, well, how do you not know? Well, how do you know that they're keeping everything tight-lipped and they're not leaking things out? I don't know. It's just one of those things where you just don't know what to believe. But he talked about how if he does indeed want to keep playing, that he would like to continue to play for the Jets. And, you know, he did say that he's not sure on whether he wants to play or not. So that's a whole nother thing. But if he does want to keep playing, that his number one team would be the Jets. And that basically, you know, says like, okay, that kind of contradicts what the reports were saying, that he does not want to play for the Jets. He wants to go to another team. And yeah, no, I was watching the Michael Kay show as I do at times, and you know, they brought up how he still wants to make it work here. There's a part of them that probably still wants to make it work here, but I don't know. It's just at this point, it's the season's been a disaster, and you know, the Jets I think are a team that needs to go in a different direction. And I don't know where Rodgers would end up. There are definitely teams out there that we went over that, you know, maybe he can go to, but I just don't know. I don't know. You know, whatever they decide to do, the next GM, the next head coach that they bring in, they can make that decision on, okay, we can make it work with him, or we want to go in a different direction and draft a quarterback depending on how this season ends up. Rodgers did talk about how he feels. He feels good, a little banged up, I would imagine. I've speculated that, he's been playing hurt because, you look at how he was early on. He was moving around early on in the season, and now he's a pocket passer, but it's just it's been a hard year for him. And although his overall numbers are not terrible, but when you watch the games, he's missing throws. A lot of it is checkdowns. It's just it's sad because I don't want to see him go out like this. And I sound like how I did last year when he got hurt. But this could maybe spell the end for him. But he hasn't made a final decision. But all he has said is the reports are false. He would like to continue to play for the Jets if he does want to keep playing. So we'll see. I mean, I think if the Jets get the right head coach and GM in here, and maybe, you fix the problems on the defense and I guess continue to improve the offensive line, then maybe you run it back one more time. But I don't think Jet fans want to do that. I think they want to move in a different direction. And we'll have to wait and see. But it's just been it's been a hard year for Rodgers, and this might be the worst year of his career. And right now, I mean, again, he has around 2,500 yards passing, 17 touchdowns and 7 picks. I mean, you look at that and you say, oh, yeah, the numbers aren't that bad, but the numbers don't tell the full story. So I still think he could spin it, but not on a consistent basis. So, I mean, look, I want to see him continue to play because, it's just another guy from this great era of football that we've watched that, is towards the end of his career. And there's not that many left from that era. And those guys will be gone soon as well. Matthew Stafford, Joe Flacco eventually. It's going to be sad because that was the best quarterbacking that we've ever seen is that era of the 2010s. And, Rodgers was at the forefront of that. Now, obviously, nobody has the same amount of rings as Tom Brady. He's got him beat by a long shot. But still, I mean, when you think back to that era, you think of Tom Brady, you think of Aaron Rodgers, you think of Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Phillip Rivers, Matt Ryan, Eli Manning, all those guys, Stafford. That's what you think about. And I apologize if I missed anybody else, but I don't want to keep naming people. But that was our era, and it was a great era of football. And it's just it's coming to an end. We still got a few of them left, but once they're all gone, that's it. We're in the new era. And I did want to see Rodgers make it work here because there was a lot of negativity around it. And you kind of wanted to see him prove people wrong. But unfortunately, he kind of proved people right. And, maybe he does get one more chance to prove the doubters wrong because he's always had a chip on his shoulder. But maybe he kind of just feels, yeah, I'm done. And he walks away. And there's this whole debate on does it affect his legacy or not. I mean, I guess, towards the period at the end of the sentence, maybe. But he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. He's got a Super Bowl. He's got 4 MVPs. He's got the best touchdown to interception ratio in NFL history. I mean, he has cemented his legacy. Now, he might not be regarded as the greatest quarterback of all time, but he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Because when he was in his prime, probably the best quarterback I've ever seen, talent-wise. So, we'll see what happens, though. But now, do I think, is he going to play or not? I think it all depends on how this season finishes out. Like, if the Jets go out there and they play really well, which I don't think is going to happen, but let's say the Jets do play well. They play better. The bye week helped them. And they've had a couple of mini bye weeks, and those didn't help them. But let's just say, Rodgers having the week off, he comes out and he plays better, finishes the season strong. The Jets, finish with a more respectable record. Because right now you would think they're not going to win another game, but maybe, they finish like 7-10, like they have the last couple of years. And Rodgers, finishes with close to 30 touchdown passes. Maybe he finishes with like 10 or 11 interceptions. Passes for around 4,000 yards. I don't know. I'm just throwing random numbers out there. Then maybe you say, okay, we get the right pieces in here, the right coaching staff, the right GM, and we try again. And maybe he feels like, you know what, I finished the season strong. I want to give it another go. But I think if you end up finishing this year where, it's losses similar to, well, the Jets have lost different ways. I mean, they've gotten blown out. They've lost close games. They've lost games where the offense will extend the lead or put them ahead, and then the defense will let them go. The other team go right down the field and score the game-winning touchdown, or the go-ahead touchdown. And they finish, 4-13 or 5-12. Then I don't know. And Rodgers doesn't play well and gets banged up, then maybe he does call it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to pretend like I know. It's more of just predicting. I'm going to lean towards... I'm actually going to say that he will try to give it another go. Unless he gets really hurt. I'll say he gives it another go. Maybe it's not with the Jets. Maybe it's with another team. But I'm going to say he gives it one more shot. And then that's it. But who knows? We still got a little over a month left in the regular season. The Jets are still not mathematically out of it yet. So, we'll see what happens. They'll be playing the Seahawks this week. But, Rodgers has not confirmed anything. Has not confirmed that those reports were true. In fact, he said the opposite, that he wants to stay with the Jets if he does continue to play. So we'll see how it goes. But let me know what you guys think, though, about the Aaron Rodgers situation. Do you think he retires? Do you think he stays with the Jets and plays another year? Does he go to another team and plays somewhere else? Let me know in the comments. So before we go to break, just want to remind you guys once again, to tip or donate and get your comments recognized, make sure to hit that super chat button in the chat if you want to see me acknowledge any thought or comment throughout the live broadcast. Makes the show more lively, more entertaining between myself, the host, and you guys, the viewers. We appreciate you guys' viewership each and every day, so any contribution you can make to the show means the world to us as we put out content for you guys each and every day. And also, the other way to help out the show is by going to the link at the bottom of the show segment on the ticker, GSMCpodcast.net. That is GSMCpodcast.net. So when we come back from our next break, we will take a look at the Ravens-Eagles matchup. Big matchup coming up on Sunday, and we will talk about that when we return from our next break. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Eagles-Ravens game for Sunday. It's a big game. Ravens coming in at 8-4, Eagles coming in at 9-2. And yeah, you got both teams playing well. Eagles continue to win games. But the thing I want to talk about first is the running backs. Last year, the Ravens had J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards, Justice Hill. Eagles had DeAndre Swift, who did a nice job for them. He rushed for over 1,000 yards, I believe. But both teams wanted to improve that position, and they both knocked it out of the park with the running back signings. I did talk about Josh Jacobs in the first segment. He's also been a home run as well. But when you look at the two running backs here and their seasons between Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley, they have been unbelievable. They have been difference makers for both of these teams. And, we saw, Derrick Henry did not, that's the next segment. Derrick Henry didn't have a great game. Well, no, actually, he ran the ball for over 140 yards. Didn't score a touchdown in the game, but he's been unbelievable. Saquon Barkley, the game he had the other night, 255 yards rushing, had 300 yards of total offense for him. It's just, they have both been great. And, they're both in the MVP conversation. Now, I think more so Saquon because of the game that he had the other night. But both of these players are up for Offensive Player of the Year, definitely. I know when it comes to MVP, typically that's going to go to a quarterback, but, don't be surprised. This could be the year that maybe, I know I said this last year, but maybe it's the year they give it to a non-quarterback. This could be the year to do it. Obviously, Saquon, is better in the receiving game, but Derrick Henry has him beat in touchdowns. Saquon, a couple more attempts. Does beat him in rushing yards at the moment. And, in terms of average yards per carry, has him beat there by a little bit. But both these guys have been unbelievable. And, barring any injuries, knock on wood, they're both going to rush for over 2,000. They're going to get to 2,000 yards. It's going to be close, but I think they're both going to get it. I think Derrick Henry has another 200-yard game in him at some point. Saquon, I think, should get it. I think they're both going to get there. It's going to be close, but I think they should get it. And, we'll see how many touchdowns they end up with at the end of the year. They have Derrick Henry has a receiving touchdown this year. Saquon's got a few as well. But they've been difference makers. And, to get to see these two guys and their teams go at it, it's going to be a lot of fun. It should be a high-scoring game between these two teams, and I'm looking forward to it. But I just wanted to highlight the two running backs because they have been special this year. And, that's coming from me as a Giant fan who has to watch Saquon Barkley. But you know what? I still get to root for him. You know why? Because I have him in a couple of fantasy leagues. Now, we fell a little bit short in one, but I did win by a point in another one. So, and I was going up against Derrick Henry. So, this will be the second time that they will be facing off just now, in real life and not in my little world of fantasy football. But to kind of look at this game, what I've been impressed with is the Eagles' defense. I've talked about it in recent weeks. Their defense has really been stepping up. I know they did lose Brandon Graham for the season, but from the secondary to the front seven, this is a solid unit. And they're going to have their hands full with this offense of the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Mark Andrews had a good game against the Chargers recently. You're going to have to deal with him. Zay Flowers. Still waiting for Deontay Johnson to kind of get it going with the Ravens. But, Rashad Bateman's had a good year as well. He caught another touchdown pass from Lamar on Monday. So this will be a test for the Eagles defense and how will they respond. They did go up against a very good Rams offense. But now it's a little bit different, though, because you go from Matthew Stafford, who's, a pocket passer, to Lamar Jackson, who could take off and run with it himself. And you also got Derrick Henry you got to deal with. And, Henry is going to have a good game, I would imagine. So I expect both offenses to be able to move the ball and this to be a high-scoring game. And then on the other side, Jalen Hurts is not playing as well as Lamar Jackson, not in that MVP conversation, but one of the biggest concerns with Jalen Hurts is that, he's had a turnover problem. But that's kind of been solved as of late. Hasn't really been turning the ball over, has been taking care of it. So that's a very good sign. And how will the Ravens and their defense? They're going to have their hands full with this Eagles offense. We'll see if they get Devontae Smith back for this game. That'll help. Of course, you got to deal with A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, who's also a good tight end. And then, of course, you have Saquon Barkley. Now, the Ravens are a good team at stopping the run. But they're going to have their hands full. This is going to be a test for them going up against Saquon Barkley, who's having a big year as well. And to kind of look at the league rankings, the comparisons between the two teams, to go through it here. So, passing yards per game, Ravens are 7th, Eagles are 22nd. Both teams, top two. You got the Ravens, who are 2nd, averaging 180.2 rushing yards per game, and the Eagles are 1st, averaging 193.4. So, both teams are going to find success in the running game, I have a feeling. And they're both top 10 in points per game. The Ravens are 2nd, Eagles are 7th. Then defensively, the Eagles defense is 2nd against the pass, holding opposing quarterbacks to under 200 yards passing, 196.9 passing yards per game. And then the Ravens defense is dead last, giving up an average of 297.4 passing yards per game. And then against the run, both teams are actually top 10. Ravens are 2nd, Eagles are 7th, and then points allowed, Eagles defense is 6th, Ravens defense is 23rd. So you kind of lean towards the Ravens in this game. The line was at 2.5. It actually did go up to 3. This is a tough game to pick. I like the Ravens to win because they're at home. I know in my spread pool, I think the line is still at 2.5. I just want to do a quick check. Yeah, so it's still 2.5. It's close. I mean, right now the Eagles are coming in. I think you might have to lean towards them as maybe being the better team because they have the better defense. But I don't know. I feel like Lamar Jackson will step up in this game. And, Jalen Hurts is going to have to step up. Because, you know what, if Saquon Barkley is not getting the job done, if the Ravens are really shutting them down in this game, Hurts is going to have to step up and make plays. And I kind of trust Lamar Jackson to make more plays in this game than I do Jalen Hurts. Like I said, Hurts has done well at taking care of the football. And you know what? Jalen Hurts does have the weapons that, he can keep up with Lamar Jackson if, the running backs are not able to get anything going. But I think right now Lamar Jackson is playing the position better. He's an MVP candidate once again. And, then again, Jalen Hurts is going up against a weaker defense. Lamar Jackson is going up against a better defense. So, everything kind of balances out. But I'm going to say the Ravens do win this game. And I think they win by, right now the line is 3. Could be a 3-point game. So I guess maybe, that's what they could win by. Maybe Justin Tucker kicks a game-winning field goal. But this is a game I am really looking forward to. I think this is going to be one of the best games of the weekend. This should have been the game that ended off Thanksgiving. I think the NFL really has to take a long look at these Thanksgiving games. Now, I'm not saying you knock off the Lions and the Cowboys, but I think you got to give us. I mean, the Bears-Lions game I think will be good, but I don't think the Giants. I mean, I don't think the Giants should be playing on Thanksgiving. They've been playing on holidays 3 years in a row now. You shouldn't be doing that. The NFL should not be doing that. I think you got to give the Cowboys a juicy matchup. I think Philadelphia would have been. I mean, obviously, they did play a few weeks ago, and the Eagles destroyed them. But going forward, I think we need to have some better matchups. Because I know there was I think 2 years in a row, they gave us Saints Falcons as the nightcapper, and it's why. I think Dolphins Packers is going to be good, but imagine this game being the last game on Thanksgiving. I mean, the ratings would be through the roof. But this will be a Jim Nantz, Tony Romo vehicle. So, they'll be calling this game. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game. I think both quarterbacks will have their fair share of plays, and both running backs as well. We'll see. But I like the Ravens to win this game being at home. I think the Eagles are due for a loss at this point. But you know what? If they continue to roll, this team is very dangerous. And, I mean, sign me up for a Lions-Eagles NFC Championship game. Now, I know that's weird coming from a Giant fan, but I just want to see how these two teams will match up against each other right now. Because right now, I think other than Detroit, the Eagles are the second best team in the NFC. They have cemented that right now. So, let me know what you guys think, though, about this game. Who do you think wins? Let me know in the comments. I think it'll be a very competitive game. I think the Ravens' defense is going to have to step up. They did play better against the Chargers, but, the Eagles' offense is better, and you're going to have to deal with A.J. Brown and probably Devontae Smith and, of course, Saquon Barkley. So we'll see how they respond to that. So we are going to take our next break, and then when we come back, we will talk about the 49ers-Bills game on Sunday Night Football. We'll get into that. So make sure to stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we're going to now get into talking about the Sunday night game between the Bills and the 49ers. Bills coming off of a bye, 9-2. The week before that, they had that signature win against the Chiefs at home. 49ers getting blown out by the Packers. Banged up 49ers team. They had no Brock Purdy. They had no Nick Bosa. Actually, they opened up the practice window for Dre Greenlaw, so that's encouraging. Hopefully getting him back at some point, but who knows. And for this game here, we could be seeing snow. Brock Purdy did some light throwing recently and didn't feel any pain, so maybe he's on track to play. I think they need him back because, we saw with Brandon Allen. I mean, again, I don't know if the 49ers win. I mean, I did pick them to win with Purdy, but when he was ruled out, I changed quickly. I'm like, there's no way Brandon Allen's going in there to Lambeau and beating the Packers. It's been a hard year for the Niners. And, if Purdy does play in this game, they do have a better chance. But the Bills are playing really well right now. And they're coming off of a bye, like I said. And I think, if you don't have Nick Bosa for this game, I mean, it's going to be hard for that 49ers defense to stop Josh Allen and the offense. And Josh Allen, he's up for MVP. He's been playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, as he usually is. If they don't have Nick Bosa, it's going to be hard. It's going to be tough. And then for the 49ers offense, with Brock Purdy coming back, that it's going to help. They definitely will be a more competitive opponent, but the offense is just not the same like it was last year. Brandon Ayuk injury really hurts them. Ricky Pearsall just coming back. He's still trying to get his footing. Deebo Samuel has had a rough year. I don't know what's been going on with him, but I shouldn't say that because, he's missed some time and, then of course he had pneumonia. So, maybe he's still dealing with the after effects. I don't know. But he's had a very tough season. And, the drops were a problem last week against the Packers. There were a couple of passes that went right through his hands. One of them led to an interception. So, I don't know. And people are talking about, is the explosiveness gone? I don't know. I think it's just one of those years where it's just things aren't going right. And when he's right, he is a special player. But he really has not had the year that we're accustomed to seeing from him. George Kittle has been great. Even with Brandon Allen at quarterback, he's still making plays. Had a touchdown against the Packers. He still looks like himself. But, guys got to step up. Christian McCaffrey, since he's come back, he hasn't looked right. Might not be 100%. Who knows? They need to get him going in this game. Because if they can get him going, then, we could have a shootout. But I could definitely see this game getting out of hand early if the Niners aren't able to, keep it close and sustain drives. Because, if you let Josh Allen and the Bills go up by a couple scores on you, you're not coming back. Even with the 49ers and their offense. And usually that's what the 49ers do to teams, but they have not done that this year. And it's for a lot of different reasons. I think mainly it's because of injuries. But even before a lot of these injuries, Brandon Ayuk wasn't playing well. That whole contract situation thing really created a distraction. And unfortunately for him, he ends up getting hurt against the Chiefs, and he's out for the year. And hopefully he bounces back next year. But then you got guys on defense. Dre Greenlaw getting hurt in the Super Bowl doesn't help. Ufanga being out. Bosa now being hurt. It's just Javon Hargrave. It's just there's a lot of injuries that they've had to deal with. Trent Williams, McCaffrey. It's just it's been a rough go for them. And I said, hey, maybe they could split between the Packers and the Bills. They might go 0-2 in this spot. Like I said, if Purdy does play, they have a better chance. But it's going to be tough. The defense is going to have to step up and get stops, and I don't know how they're going to do that. They let Josh Jacobs run all over them. James Cook could maybe have a similar game. I think the Bills are getting Dalton Kincaid back. He didn't play against the Chiefs, so that's another weapon you got to deal with. We'll see if Keon Coleman plays. I know he's been banged up. Amari Cooper was dealing with an injury of his own, but he made his return against the Chiefs and made a couple of big catches, so you're gonna have to deal with him. It's gonna be a tough go for the Niners, and of course Josh Allen, can do both. He can beat you with his arm, he could beat you with his legs. And, the Niners are a team that, they struggle against mobile quarterbacks. We've seen that in the past. And Josh Allen is going to be a guy that is going to give them problems. So, as of right now, I do like the Bills in this spot. The line is pretty big. It was at 6.5. I think it's now up to 7. And it's weird to see that the Niners being a team that's a 7-point underdog. You usually don't see that. But I think also it's because we don't know if Purdy is definitely playing or not. I think, the 49ers are trying to be cautious with him. They gave him rest, I believe. Well, yeah, they let him rest the shoulder. So hopefully between that and, doing some light throwing, not experiencing any pain, that'll lead to him being on track to play. And, that gives the 49ers a chance. And the 49ers got their backs against the wall. How are they going to respond? Now, if they don't have Purdy, I really give them no chance to win this game. But if Purdy does play, I give him a puncher's chance to go in and maybe knock off the Bills. But you're going to have to keep up with the offense because, Nick Bosa being out, that really has affected them. And, don't sleep on the Bills' defense. The Bills' defense has played well this year, too. They have played well. And, they could definitely give the 49ers some problems. Obviously, if there's no Trent Williams in this game, that's a big loss. Because he is arguably the best left tackle in the NFL. And if you don't have him, then, that's going to make your life harder. So, but yeah, right now, I think either way at this moment, even if Purdy does play, I'm probably leaning towards the Bills. Now, I don't want to give up on the 49ers. I don't. I don't want to just say that, yeah, this is it for them and they got no shot because they still have a chance. They're 5-6. They're in last place right now in their division, but it's not over yet. There's still some time. I give the Seahawks credit for being in first place in the division, but I think the 49ers, they got to snap out of this, right? They got to snap out of this. If they end up missing the playoffs, I'm curious to see what ends up happening. Would they let go of Kyle Shanahan? I don't think so. I think it's just that they'll look at it and say, hey, look, we got injured. We couldn't overcome it. We'll run it back next year. And I think that'd be the right thing because, yeah, you had a ton of injuries. This was literally like 2020. And this image that I have up is from 2020. And they're not even playing in the 49ers stadium in this game. They're playing in Glendale, Arizona. And the Bills won this game pretty handily. But the 49ers were really banged up here. It's kind of similar. But unlike 2020, 2024, they still got a shot. At this point, they were kind of done. But here, look, you just got to string together some wins. And you're back in this thing. So get your quarterback back and hope that he, plays well. And, maybe the defense rises to the occasion without their best pass rusher. We'll see if he does end up playing. But I really don't like his chances right now. But things could always change. So, and try to get Christian McCaffrey going. What happened to Jordan Mason? He was off to a great start, and, now he's kind of been forgotten. I know he got a little bit banged up too, but, rely on your running backs. Try to slow down the pace of this game. Because, like I said, if the Bills go up by a couple of scores, the 49ers are not going to be able to come back. That's going to open up the floodgates, and they're going to be playing from behind. So, let's see. Like I said, let's see how they respond with their backs against the wall. They're fighting for their playoff lives right now. The playoffs really start for them now, and I think the best chance for them right now is to win the division because you look at. Well, then again, the Commanders are struggling. They got the final wild card spot because you look at the first two wild card spots. It's the Vikings and the Packers. I don't think anybody's catching up to them. So I think you're going to have those two NFC North teams. You're going to have three NFC North teams make the playoffs. But then it's that last wild card spot. You got the Cardinals behind the Commanders, but the Commanders have the tiebreaker over them. The Buccaneers are 3 games back. The Rams are 3 games back. The Niners are 3 games back. And then you still got the 4-7 teams, the Bears, Cowboys, and Saints, but I don't think they're making it. So, and the Commanders, you got the Titans coming in who are playing well. None of the games they have left remaining are gimmies. So, Commanders could fall out of a playoff spot very easily if they don't snap out of this. So maybe if the Niners, win games and, you sneak in as that 7 seed, you'd be the best 7 seed so far since the playoff format changed. But the Packers did win last year against the Cowboys as the 7 seed. So, but I think the best chance for the Niners to make the playoffs is the division. It's not over yet. They split with the Seahawks, but you still got another game against the Rams. You still got another game against the Cardinals. Hopefully they get guys healthy and they can go on a run. I'm still not jumping off just yet. I think if they lose to the Bills here, which I think is probably what I'm leaning towards, things might not be looking good. I might be on the doorsteps of maybe walking away, but right now I'm not giving up. So I do like the Bills to win though. Maybe the Niners prove me wrong, but I say they win. It's a big number though. But I'll say the Bills win. I think they win maybe, 27-20, something like that. But we'll see. If Brock Purdy plays, maybe I might change my mind and give him another chance. But we still got some time. Hoping he does play, though. But let me know what you guys think, though, about this game. Who do you think wins? Let me know in the comments. So we are going to take our final break of the show now. And then when we come back, we will take a look at the remaining games in the NFL. We'll also, before we do that, we'll take a look at the college football matchups for this weekend, take a look at last week as well, take a look at the updated playoff bracket, all of that when we come back from our final break of the show. So for one final time today, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the college football matchups for this weekend. We'll take a look at the updated bracket, playoff bracket, as well as taking a look at the remaining NFL matchups that I did not get to at this very moment. So let's I was trying to fix my hair during the break, and I just ended up making it look like I just got out of bed. But anyways, let's kind of take a look at the college football matchups from last week. So the biggest one was, of course, Ohio State, Indiana. That was the game that I was really focusing on, and kind of went how I think a lot of people expected. although Indiana did take the ball to start the game, and they went right down the field and scored, and you thought, okay, they're setting the tone here. Maybe Ohio State's in trouble. But then Ohio State pretty much just dominated the rest of the game. Indiana did score a touchdown in the fourth quarter to make it 31-15, but the game was pretty much all Ohio State. And you also had some upsets. You had Florida upsetting Ole Miss, and that could hurt their playoff chances. Miami improves to 10-1 on the season. They beat Wake Forest. SMU improves to 10-1. Also, crazy ending in the Illinois-Rutgers game. So, Rutgers was up by 1, and Illinois gets the ball. So they go down the field. It's 4th and 13, and I guess they were lining up to kick a field goal, and then I think Rutgers called a timeout. So then Illinois went for it on 4th and 13, and they end up getting a game-winning 40-yard touchdown. And they end up winning the game, improved to 8-3. Crushing loss for Rutgers there. But yeah, Illinois improves to 8-3 on the season. You also had Georgia all over UMass, 59-21. Tennessee, 56-0 over UTEP. Kansas beating Colorado, 37-21. So, Colorado's winning streak came to an end. They did not play great in that game. Texas winning 31-14 over Kentucky. Penn State, 26-25 over Minnesota. That was a close game. Boise State winning 17-13. Alabama losing 24-3 to Oklahoma. So, their playoff hopes could be gone now. Notre Dame winning 49-14 over Army. But yeah, that's just some of the matchups there. So now going into this week, like I said, it's rivalry week. You got the biggest game is Michigan, Ohio State. Although it's not going to have the same juice to it like it did last year, but you still want to pay attention to that. Ohio State is a 20.5-point favorite. Probably taking Ohio State in that game. Again, Michigan is not the same team. You do have a game tomorrow. You got Memphis and Tulane, both 9-2. Friday, you got Colorado and Oklahoma State. Boise State and Oregon State, Georgia and Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, look, has been a scrappy team this year. So, we'll see what happens there. Ole Miss and Mississippi State. But, yeah, on Saturday, like I said, Michigan, Ohio State. You got Alabama, Auburn. Alabama's an 11.5-point favorite. Miami and Syracuse. Illinois, Northwestern. Tennessee and Vanderbilt. South Carolina and Clemson. That could be a good game. Clemson's a 2.5-point favorite. Maryland and Penn State. Indiana and Purdue. You got, Purdue's 1-10. Washington and Oregon. That's one of the later games as well. Also, you got Kansas State and Iowa State. Also, USC and Notre Dame. So, yeah, no, there are some good games here. And then let's take a look at the playoff bracket, shall we? So, I got it from Pat McAfee's Instagram. He posted it. So, right now you'd have Arizona State against Ohio State, Tennessee and Georgia, Indiana and Penn State, SMU and Notre Dame, and then teams on a bye would be Boise State, Oregon, Miami, and Texas. So, the first teams out would be Clemson and Alabama. Now, I thought it was interesting that Indiana is still, in. Because I think most people thought if they lost to Ohio State, they'd be out. But no, right now they are in. So hopefully that stays and they end up making it despite the loss to Ohio State. And maybe they, shock some people and show that they deserve to be there. But, we're approaching the end of the regular season in college football. So we'll see how it all goes. But that is what the current bracket is at the moment. All right, so now let's kind of get into the remaining slate for Week 13 in the NFL. So we didn't get into the Black Friday game, and that is the Raiders and Chiefs game. Chiefs right now are 12-point favorites. Aiden O'Connell looks like he's going to make the start. Now, if you remember last year, he was the starter when the Raiders won on Christmas. And I rewatched the highlights of that game. The Chiefs played really sloppy in that game. Mahomes had a couple of turnovers that led to touchdowns. Zamir White had a great game, and he was the reason why him and Harrison Butker, missing the field goal before the end of the first half, and Zamir White running for over 140 yards. That's why I ended up that last drive of the game for the Raiders. That's the reason why I did not win my fantasy championship last year. It's because of Zamir White. I don't know if he's going to play in this game because I know he's a little bit banged up. So we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, and I don't know if you guys hear in the background, but my brother decided to clean his room while I'm still live here. But, it is what it is. We're nearing the end. But with the broadcast here. But, yeah, this game could be interesting because the Chiefs they don't blow people out. But I feel like they should. The Raiders just are not good. But the Chiefs, for some reason, they don't blow teams out. So, here's the thing. It's not going to surprise me if it happens. But I'm going to take the points. I'm going to say the Raiders do cover the spread. I think they will maybe step up and, keep the game within reach. But I think the Chiefs still win. The Chiefs are going to win this game, right? They should. Everything always seems to come down to the end with them, and I think that's going to continue in this game. But I will not be surprised if, they end up blowing the Raiders out. Because you also got Isaiah Pacheco coming back, which is huge for this team. But yeah, I like the Chiefs to win, but I'm going to say the Raiders do cover. I think Aiden O'Connell will manage the game right. Brock Bowers will make plays for them, and they'll keep it close. The defense, they know how to play Patrick Mahomes. So, we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I like the Raiders to cover in this spot. But, again, now because I'm finally taking the points, it's going to end up not being correct. Then we got the Steelers and the Bengals. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites. Steelers coming off of that loss against the Browns on Thursday night. Bengals are coming off of a bye. This is a must-win for the Bengals. I think they do win this game. The Steelers' offense did struggle last week to get it going. I think that's going to continue here. Like I said, I think the Bengals are in desperation mode. I mean, they've been in this mode for a long time this year. And I think that they will, coming off the bye, I think they get this win here. And Steelers will drop 2 straight. Then we got the Chargers and the Falcons. Chargers coming off of that Monday night loss to the Ravens. Falcons coming off of that, coming off of the bye, but before that they got blown out by the Broncos. I like the Chargers in this spot to bounce back. I just don't trust the Falcons. I think the Falcons' offense will play well in this game, but I think the Chargers are the better team right now. So I like them to win and cover. Right now the Falcons are 2-point underdogs. I like the Chargers to cover. Then we got the Texans and the Jaguars. Texans really have been struggling. Jaguars, 4-point underdogs. They're coming off of a bye. This one's a tough game to pick. The Texans are another team I just don't trust. I like the Jaguars with the points, although I'll say the Texans do win, but we'll see what happens. Cardinals and the Vikings. Vikings 3-point favorites at home. Cardinals coming off of a bad loss to the Seahawks. Vikings coming off of that overtime win against the Bears. I do like the Vikings in this spot to win. I think Kyler Murray and that offense might struggle here. This is a tough place to play, so I like the Vikings to win and cover. Then we got the Colts and the Patriots. I like this one. This one's tough. I'm leaning towards the Colts in this spot, but I might flip flop. This one's a tough one to pick. So, but right now I'll take the Colts. I think right now they're the better team. Anthony Richardson's been playing better, but the Patriots are at home. But we'll see. Right now I got the Colts. Seahawks and the Jets. There's actually reports that Breece Hall's not practicing. He's dealing with a little bit of a knee issue, so that's not good. Either way, though, even if he was playing or not, I do like the Seahawks in this spot. I think the defense is going to travel. It's going to give Aaron Rodgers a tough time. Even with the Jets coming off of a bye, I still think the Seahawks, they get the win, and they cover. The Jets right now are 2-point underdogs. Then we got the Titans and the Commanders. Titans are getting 5.5. They've been playing better. I actually like them to cover. I don't know if they win, but I do like them to cover in this spot. Will Levis has been playing better. Westbrook-Akine, he's been making plays for them. Calvin Ridley's looked better. Tony Pollard ran the football well last week. And the Commanders just don't look right. So I like the Titans to cover, but maybe the Commanders still win. This one's tough too. Buccaneers and Panthers. Panthers have been playing better. The Bucs got Mike Evans back. They ran the football all over the Giants. This one's kind of tough. I think the Bucs win. I don't know what to do with the points. Right now, I have the Bucs winning and covering, so I might keep it that way. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Panthers cover because they have definitely looked better. Then we got the Rams and the Saints. Saints have been playing better since they let go of Dennis Allen. Rams coming off of that loss against the Eagles on Sunday night. I do like the Rams in this spot to bounce back. They kind of got their backs against the wall. The Saints have been playing better, but I'm going to go with the Rams. So to kind of go through it, all my picks. So for Thanksgiving, I got the Lions winning, but the Bears covering. The Cowboys winning and covering. Packers winning and covering. The Chiefs winning, but the Raiders covering. Bengals winning and covering. Chargers winning and covering. Texans winning, but the Jaguars cover. Vikings winning and covering. Colts winning and covering. Seahawks winning and covering. The Commanders winning, but the Titans cover. The Bucs winning and covering. The Rams winning and covering. The Ravens winning and covering. The Bills to win and cover. And, yeah, that's pretty much it there. And obviously we'll preview the Monday night game on Monday. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I apologize for the background noise if you hear the vacuum, but it is what it is. And now the vacuum goes off. I hope everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving. If you celebrate it, however you celebrate it, make sure to eat a lot of food, enjoy football, spend time with your loved ones, because I know I'm going to take full advantage of that tomorrow. It's one of my favorite holidays. It's arguably my favorite holiday because I feel like it gets, overlooked. Everybody kind of skips over it and goes right to the December holidays, and that's why I kind of appreciated it more. But that's really I've always enjoyed it, and hopefully the games are good. I know the food's going to be good, and I'm just looking forward to it. But yeah, I hope everybody enjoys it. We'll be back again on Monday. Make sure to check out all the other shows for the remainder of the day. And as always, I'm your host, Kenneth Grunfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the video. Enjoy your Thanksgiving, enjoy the weekend, and I will talk to you guys on Monday. Take care.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.